All season long, we've watched teams leave it all on the field. The cases have been made, the numbers have been crunched. Now it's time to learn the road to Camp Randall for 224 teams. The WIAA Football Playoff Bracket Reveal Show starts right now. From the WPOW studio in Eau Claire, I'm Nick Tabbert, joined by WAOW Sports Director Keegan Hewitt and prep football legend and expert Travis Wilson of Bound, Wisconsin. We're grateful to have his analysis again this year. Over the next 60 minutes, guys, we're going to reveal the 224 qualifiers for this year's 11-player football postseason. We'll also hear from coaches from across the state. Can't wait for that. The process to qualify for the playoffs has changed quite a bit from last year. Divisions were determined before the season, and a new playoff football matrix was implemented to rank and seed teams. We'll have Travis dive deeper into how all this came to be, but essentially the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association wanted more transparency about the qualifying process, and the WIAA accommodated that.
Yeah, it was a great partnership, a working partnership between the WIAA and the WFCA. Really making a complete overhaul to the playoff system that changed how teams qualify, that changed how teams are seated within the brackets, that changed how teams are placed geographically as well. So there are some things that are very different this year. It's going to look different in a lot of ways, but ultimately the hope and goal is that it produces a better bracket and a better overall tournament.
All right, so we're showing some of the key points to the football matrix, two-tier system, and it's a lot of scores, Tier 1 and Tier 2 put together.
Yeah, Tier 1, it really looks at your wins, who you beat. There's different point values that you receive based on the division of your opponent that you defeated. It is only defeated games. Tier 2 is much more of a strength of schedule metric that takes into play the total points of the teams that you defeated, averages out that based on how many games those teams played, and again is more of a strength of schedule metric. So some math and formula that goes into it certainly, but it is a much more transparent process. The WIAA has released that along with, in partnership with the WFCA, updates throughout the season that allowed people to track and follow where they were. And so heading into week 9, a lot of teams knew, okay, I am on the bubble. I need to win to get in, or maybe to get a home game in level 1. I really need to win. I've got to have other teams win to help me out. And it's really added a lot of transparency that a lot of coaches are really liking. And remember, 90% of the coaches voted in favor of this proposal last year. It's hard to get 90% of coaches to agree on anything, let alone something like this. So it's really been a great process.
And so 32 teams seeded 1 through 8, and geography was a big factor this year.
It was. One of the things that this does is it changes, again, how teams are grouped in the playoffs. Previously, geography was a much bigger factor. Now geography takes a little bit of a backseat to evening out the regions. There was a lot of consternation previously about the groupings and who ended up in which 8-team grouping, and that was a lot of the complaints that we used to get and a lot of the things that coaches had problems with. Now, again, there's more emphasis on balancing out the strength of the regions while still maintaining that geographic component, understanding its education-based athletics. So a new system, but again, a lot of excitement about what it's going to bring.
New for all of us, that's for sure this year. Everything has pros, sometimes things have cons. What are some of the feedbacks you've heard against this that's maybe untraditional from when maybe I was in high school a decade ago?
Well, again, it's change, right? And people sometimes have a hard time with change, and coaches sometimes have a hard time with change, but overall the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Again, the transparency piece, the having that released throughout the season, understanding where they are at, it really has received tremendous feedback and support. There's going to be some people that are left out, right? That are team 33 in a division, or maybe the 5th seed and didn't get a home game, that may find some reasons to have an issue with it, but you're going to have that with anything. But overall, I think it has gone extremely well, and it has been extremely well received with positive feedback.
It's made these Week 9 games not only for conference championships, but now also for playoff hopes on the bubble, all that much more exciting. So it's been enjoyable on this end, I guess, covering teams as well, right, Nick?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people have been studying the unofficial rankings from Andy Lavoie every week, and then really anxious to see how it all shakes out this morning. We'll get to it here in just a second. If you want more information about the process, it's available on the WIAA website under the Football Pages Rules and Regulations tab. All right, guys, let's reveal our first set of brackets. We'll start with the smallest schools in Division 7, and here is section number 1.
The 8-seed Assumption, one of the final 4 teams in. They'll head to Cochran Fountain City. In the 4-5 matchup here, Glenwood City will take on Spring Valley. Then to the 3-seed Pepin Alma set to host Turtle Lake. Our 7-seed Webster will hit the road to take on the Bulldogs of Boyceville.
Travis, quick point on what you see here from this bracket.
Well, Cochran Fountain City has been very impressive all season. They're coming off a state championship in basketball as well with many of those same athletes. That state championship experience in another sport can often provide great experience as teams move into a different sport this season in football.
All right, let's go on to section number 2. And the top seed, Lord's Academy, who will face Shiocton. Shiocton, one of the last teams in. In fact, the last team in this division with a 2-7 record. They'll go head-to-head in round 1. Dairyland Conference teams in the 5-4, Eleva Strom and Blair Taylor. It's Wazeeka Steuben Seneca and Ithaca in the 3-6 matchup, and then Hilbert and Pittsville in the 7-2. What do you think of this grouping?
Well, Lourdes Academy is undefeated, and they have looked very impressive all season. I look at number 3 seed Wazeeka Steuben Seneca, and that is a team that has some very close losses against very good competition. They lost to Blackhawk Warren and Potosi Cassville late in the season, 2 outstanding Division 7 teams. So that's a little bit of a sleeper pick possibly with that experience that they have built.
All right, to sectional 3, Travis, you just mentioned a stellar team, Blackhawk Warren, one of the teams to beat in this bracket. The Warriors, of course, going a perfect 9-0 on the year. River Ridge will look to be the ones to shake things up. Cashton and Brookwood lock in the 4-5 seed. And after earning that silver ball in 2024, Potosi Cassville back at the 3 seed looking to make some noise, drawing Cambria Fryland. And the 7-2 matchup, Clear Lake will face Johnson Crick. What are your initial thoughts here, Travis?
Well, we could be looking at yet another Blackhawk Warren Potosi Cassville showdown. They have met a number of times, not only in the regular season as conference opponents. They met week 9 in a great ball game that Blackhawk Warren came out on top of, but also have met a number of times in the playoffs. So it's not uncommon for them to play twice, and there's a possibility that that could happen again this year.
Let's round out this Division 7 field, and we'll show you section number 4 here. Kenosha St. Joseph awarded the 1 seed. Many consider the Lancers to be the top team in this division after 9 weeks. It's Palmyra Eagle getting that tall task here in level 1. Crivets and Reedsville, the 4-5 matchup. Randolph, the 6 seed, going to Coleman. Roncalli will welcome the 7 seed Royal in level 1. Let's go back to section 1 and talk about Cochran Fountain City. To Travis's point, the Pirates 9-0, had a big win at home last night to become outright Dairyland Conference champions. This Pirates bunch has allowed 21 points all season. I asked head coach Jesse Cyrus what's made that defense so elite.
Biggest thing is just guys are comfortable. Like, we try and keep it as simple as possible, obviously without being too basic, but our guys, we got a good group of kids that really know where they're supposed to be, what they need to do. And the biggest thing, like, our guys, if they make a mistake, the next guy next to them's picking them up, and it's just on to the next play.
Epic finish against Pepin Alma. What did that do for this squad?
It's just a huge confidence boost for sure. I mean, obviously that's the rival that's 12 miles up the road. They're not far away. They've been a very good program for a long time. They've made some huge playoff runs as well. So when you can play teams like that and compete and win some of those, it's obviously huge for the program.
And here's a look at the full Division 7 bracket. We've already touched on a few matchups, but maybe just some overall thoughts about this D7 field.
Yeah, let's look down in Group D. You mentioned Kenosha St. Joseph, and that's a team that has been outstanding all season. They've got some wins over much larger opponents, including Greendale. Going up and playing 4 or 5 divisions above your own and getting a win is very impressive. And just with the way Division 7 lays out geographically, we have some pretty interesting travel potential, not only in level 1, but in down the road. In that Group D, you've got Kenosha, you've got Crivets way up in northeast Wisconsin, Royal over in kind of western Wisconsin, Roncalli in the Manitowoc area. So some interesting travel, but that's the way it lays out in D7. There's just not a lot of small school teams down in the Milwaukee area, which creates some of those travel issues.
Travis, Pacelli, Hillsborough, two teams that are right on the bubble, left out. When we switch to this matrix system, I guess what do you think? It goes into a full season, but what's one or two key things that maybe left these groups out?
Well, getting a key win, getting that win over a quality opponent or a larger opponent, that's what it comes down to a lot of times.
All righty. Well, after the break, the play that altered the outlook for Division 6 will also reveal those Division 5 matchups we're patiently waiting for. You're watching the WIAA Football Playoff Bracket Reveal Show.